Have you ever felt completely powerless, like the world is moving forward while you have nothing to offer? What if I told you that having nothing is actually your secret weapon? That the greatest minds in history, people like Leonardo da Vinci, started with zero resources, zero connections, and still became legends. And Napoleon Hill, the man who studied the world's richest and most successful, discovered a pattern. Those who start with nothing can create unstoppable leverage, turning limitations into fuel, scarcity into strategy, and ideas into empires. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn your nothing into your most powerful advantage, and why your lack of resources might just be the best thing that ever happened to you. Part 1. Leverage your mind. When you have nothing, your most powerful tool isn't money, connections, or influence. It's your mind. Leonardo da Vinci had no formal education, no wealthy family backing him, yet he became a genius across art, science, and engineering. How? Because he observed relentlessly, questioned everything, and learned from every experience. Every line he sketched, every experiment he conducted, multiplied his understanding of the world and gave him leverage that no wealth could buy. Napoleon Hill echoed the same principle decades later. He said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." The difference between success and stagnation is often not what you own, but what you know and how you use it. Here's how to start leveraging your mind today. Feed it constantly. Read, watch, observe, experiment. Every bit of knowledge can become a stepping stone. Specialize relentlessly. Become so skilled in one thing that you're irreplaceable, even if your resources are zero. Turn knowledge into action. Ideas alone are worthless until applied. Da Vinci didn't just dream of flying. He sketched flying machines centuries before they existed. The key: your mind is your first leverage point. Even without money, even without status, your thoughts, creativity, and ideas can create opportunities that seem impossible to others. Part 2. Leverage your network. When you start with nothing, one of the most overlooked forms of leverage is the people around you. Your network, even if tiny, is a multiplier that can turn scarce resources into extraordinary results. Think about Leonardo da Vinci. He didn't have wealth, but he had talent and curiosity. And talent alone, no matter how brilliant, isn't enough. What set him apart was how he connected with the right people at the right time. He worked for powerful patrons like Ludovico Sforza in Milan, not because he begged for money, but because he offered something they couldn't get anywhere else: unmatched skill, unique creativity, and innovative ideas. Napoleon Hill later formalized this as the mastermind principle. He studied thousands of successful people and realized the greatest achievers never work alone. They align themselves with others, creating a network of minds, resources, and influence that amplifies their own power. Here's how to leverage your network when you have nothing. Identify people who matter, not just the wealthy or powerful. Anyone who has knowledge, experience, or connections in the area you want to grow. These are your potential allies, collaborators, or mentors. Offer value first, even if it seems small. You don't have money or status, but you do have something: curiosity, skill, energy, or ideas. Share insights, help with projects, or even just show dedication. When people see that you bring something unique, they naturally want to work with you. Think in terms of collaboration, not competition. The world often teaches us to compete for attention, but leverage comes from creating symbiotic relationships. Help others reach their goals, while quietly building your own momentum. A single, mutually beneficial relationship can open doors you didn't even know existed. Multiply your influence with strategic alliances. Napoleon Hill noted that wealth and success rarely come from solitary effort. Even when you have nothing, the right alliance can provide resources, credibility, or access far beyond your personal reach. Imagine two people, each with minimal resources, combining ideas, skills, and effort. The result can far exceed what either could achieve alone. Create an aura of indispensability. Da Vinci wasn't just another artist or engineer. He became indispensable to his patrons because he could solve problems no one else could. If you cultivate a skill or knowledge that others must have, people will naturally pull you into opportunities, giving you leverage you never paid for. Be patient, but deliberate. Relationships take time to build. Don't expect immediate returns, but also don't wait passively. Look for ways to contribute consistently, learn from others, and subtly position yourself as someone valuable. Over time, your nothing becomes a network that works for you. Here's the key takeaway. When you have nothing, your network is your force multiplier. Money can be gone tomorrow, talent can be overlooked, but people remember value. If you can make even one person see your worth, they can open doors that wealth alone cannot buy. Imagine combining this with the power of your mind, your knowledge, and your creativity. Even from zero, you begin to create exponential leverage, where each connection, each small action, compounds into unstoppable momentum. Part 3. Leverage your time and scarcity. When you have nothing, time becomes your most powerful resource, and paradoxically, your limitations become your greatest advantage. Leonardo da Vinci didn't have endless funds, a giant team, or unlimited materials. What he did have was time and focus. He spent decades mastering painting, anatomy, engineering, and inventing, often working simultaneously on multiple projects. He knew how to compartmentalize, prioritize, and multiply the impact of every hour. Napoleon Hill emphasized this too. He called it organized persistence, the art of focusing your energy day after day on high-leverage activities, even if your resources seem minimal. Time, when harnessed strategically, compounds. A single hour spent learning, experimenting, or building connections today can create exponential returns years later. Here's how to leverage your time. Identify your highest leverage actions. Not all tasks are equal. Some will move you 10 steps forward, others barely one. Focus relentlessly on activities that maximize impact. For example, learning a skill that others need, reaching out to one strategic contact, or creating a prototype. Even small actions can generate massive returns. Break tasks into focused blocks. Da Vinci didn't rush. He experimented, observed, and perfected. In a world full of distractions, concentrated effort is your superpower. A single, uninterrupted hour of deep work can outweigh an entire day of scattered activity. Use scarcity as fuel, not a limitation. Most people see scarcity, lack of money, lack of resources, lack of experience, as a disadvantage. But the truth is, constraints force creativity. Da Vinci often had to innovate with limited materials, and some of his most revolutionary ideas came from scarcity. Napoleon Hill observed the same. Those who start with nothing are forced to think differently, to find solutions others would never consider. Prioritize experimentation over perfection. Scarcity teaches speed and adaptability. When you have nothing to lose, you can take calculated risks that others won't. Each failure becomes a lesson, and each small success compounds, creating leverage from minimal inputs. Compound small actions consistently. Imagine spending 30 minutes each day learning a new skill or connecting with someone valuable. It may feel small, but over months and years, those consistent actions multiply into enormous leverage. Hill called it accumulated advantage. Small, disciplined steps that eventually create a tidal wave of results. Turn limitations into uniqueness. Scarcity forces you to innovate in ways the resource-rich cannot. If everyone has the same tools, the person who invents a new way to use minimal resources becomes indispensable. Constraints can become your signature advantage, your unique value proposition. When you have nothing, leverage doesn't come from what you lack. It comes from how you use what you do have. Time, focus, creativity, and relentless application can transform scarcity into a multiplier that no one else can compete with. Da Vinci, Hill, and the most successful people in history understood this intuitively. When resources are limited, imagination, strategy, and action become amplifiers, creating results that appear impossible from the outside. Part 4. Leverage, action, and momentum. All the knowledge, all the connections, all the strategies in the world mean nothing without action. Action is the engine that turns potential into reality, and momentum is the force multiplier that compounds your efforts into unstoppable progress. Leonardo da Vinci didn't just study anatomy or design inventions for the sake of curiosity. He applied his ideas relentlessly, painting masterpieces, engineering devices, experimenting with techniques that would inspire generations. Each project fed into the next, building momentum that amplified his skill, reputation, and influence. Napoleon Hill described this principle as definiteness of purpose. When you clearly know what you want, every small action, every connection, every experiment is no longer random. It becomes a deliberate step toward your ultimate goal. Momentum begins to build when action is focused, consistent, and relentless. Here's how to leverage action and momentum when you have nothing. Start with a clear goal. You cannot build momentum in the wrong direction. Decide exactly what you want to achieve, even if it seems out of reach. A clear goal gives purpose to your actions, making even minimal effort powerful. Break the goal into micro actions. Nothing seems insurmountable when you divide it into small, actionable steps. Each step you complete is a psychological win, reinforcing progress and motivation. Momentum builds as these micro-actions accumulate. Take massive, consistent action. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. Even with limited resources, you can do something every day. Write, create, practice, reach out, experiment. Small, consistent action compounds faster than sporadic bursts of effort. Use momentum to attract resources. One of the most powerful forms of leverage is how action attracts opportunity. When people see progress, they are naturally drawn to it. Potential collaborators, mentors, or investors are more likely to support someone who is moving forward, even if they started with nothing. Learn faster than others. Momentum is accelerated by learning from every success and failure. Each experiment teaches a lesson that multiplies your next action. Da Vinci dissected cadavers to understand the human body, failed repeatedly with inventions, yet every failure increased his skill and insight, making him unstoppable. Turn energy into reputation. Action creates visibility. When you consistently apply effort, people notice. Your reputation for persistence, creativity, and reliability becomes leverage in itself, a magnet for opportunities you never earn directly. Never wait for permission. People often think they need resources, approval, or perfect conditions. The truth is, action is leverage. Start now with what you have, where you are. Momentum builds faster than waiting for perfect conditions, and often it creates the conditions you need. Momentum turns scarcity, knowledge, and connections into exponential power. Action is the bridge between potential and results, and when combined with focus and strategy, it transforms nothing into something extraordinary. Da Vinci, Hill, and the world's most successful people didn't wait for opportunity. They created it. Every step, every experiment, every connection, and every small action compounded into a force that was unstoppable. Part 5. The Complete Leverage Formula. By now, you've learned the core pillars of building leverage when you have nothing. Your mind, your network, your time, your scarcity, and your action. But none of these work in isolation. The true power comes from combining them into a single, unstoppable formula. Here's how the masters did it, and how you can too. Leverage your mind. First, knowledge and creativity are your foundation. Study relentlessly. Observe the world like Leonardo da Vinci, questioning everything, absorbing everything, experimenting endlessly. Your mind is the one tool you have that cannot be taken away, and it can multiply every other resource you acquire. Leverage your network. Relationships are your force multiplier. Connect with people who can amplify your reach, mentor you, or collaborate with you. Offer value, create alliances, and make yourself indispensable. Even with nothing, the right network opens doors money cannot buy. Leverage your time. Time is the ultimate equalizer. Organize your day, focus on high-impact actions, and treat every hour as a step toward your ultimate goal. Scarcity forces creativity. Your limitations become fuel for innovation. Leverage scarcity. Constraints are your hidden advantage. They sharpen your focus, force you to think differently, and make your solutions unique. While others waste resources, you learn to innovate and stand out. Leverage action and momentum. Action transforms potential into results. Start immediately, even with nothing, and stay consistent. Momentum compounds your efforts, attracts resources, and turns small wins into unstoppable progress. Compound everything together. Knowledge informs action. Networks amplify impact. Time multiplies effort. Scarcity fuels creativity. Action builds momentum. When combined, these forces create exponential leverage that turns nothing into extraordinary results. The ultimate lesson. Leonardo da Vinci had no money, no privilege, no safety net. Napoleon Hill studied countless self-made legends who started with zero. What they shared was a secret. They knew how to multiply their resources, even when they had almost none. If you can feed your mind, build relationships, organize your time, use your constraints, and take relentless action, no matter how little you start with, you can create leverage that bends the world in your favor. The world rewards those who act intelligently, relentlessly, and creatively, even when they start from zero. Your nothing is not a weakness, it's a blank canvas. And on that canvas, you can paint a life most people can only dream of. If you're ready to start building leverage today, write in the comments, "I will turn nothing into unstoppable power." And remember, knowledge without action is worthless. Start small, act boldly, and watch as your limitations transform into your greatest advantage. If you found these strategies valuable, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're just scratching the surface of the secrets of history's greatest minds.